Well, on a freezing cold day like today, there's one species that I know I can get a bite from, and that's a chub. And there's one method that will produce that bite, and that's cheese paste. I've got a big lump here I've made out of cheddar cheese, breadcrumb, and a bit of margarine just to keep it flexible in these cold conditions. An absolutely brilliant chub bait. But here's the little trick. I make up a floater cake. It's like a sponge. Nice tough texture, so it'll stay on the hook, and that's made out of a boilie mix with double the eggs, and it's placed in the oven and baked exactly like you would a cake. So let's run through the tackle and the business end. My tackle that I'm using is a Drennan medium feeder rod, and I'm also using an Okuma VS System reel, top of the range. It's got a lovely smooth clutch on it. The line is 7-pound Drennan double strength, and that's fished all the way through, straight to the hook. And I'll show you how I set up my rig. Let me reel in a second. I should say the quiver tip I'm using is a glass one, and that's a 2-ounce tip. It's nice and flexible. The chub won't feel the pull of the tip too much. And here we go. Right, get this in place. This is how I connect my paternoster. Many people use a water knot. I don't. What I use are little float stops with a piece of 10-pound fluorocarbon placed through it. And there you can see there's just a couple of swan shot on there. And this is a vital part. You don't want too much weight. It's not meant to cast out and stay there. It's meant to slowly shuffle across the bottom, because that's when you'll get a lot more bites. And the beauty of this system, unlike a water knot that doesn't really want to slide up and down, my float stops slide up and down at will, dead easy. There we go. And like I said, I'm fishing that straight away through, 7-pound Drennan double strength, and that comes down to a carbon specimen hook. And I'm using a size 10 at the moment. I might use a 14 if it's really hard, or if they're really going for it, a size 6. So it's really strong because it's one piece. There's no knots in my line except for the hook. And let me explain now how I use this cake. Let me get a piece out. This cake, it's got a lovely crust to it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to break off a little piece of crust. Let me get the hook. God, my hands are numb, it's so cold. Right, and I'm going to just nick that on. There we go. There's a piece of crust just nicked on. That'll float, so I want it to balance out. And that's what this crust is brilliant at doing, balancing out my rig so it fishes really naturally. I've just got a small piece of cheese paste now, and I'm just going to smidge that onto the shank. There we go. It's on the shank. Keep them as 2 parts. Fish a lot better like that. So that's it. Simple. Not just direct cheese paste. It's balanced out. That'll waft in the current. By just using enough shot to hold bottom, that'll just trip along the bottom, so everything's behaving naturally. And I said earlier about my quiver tip, it's a 2-ounce one. I'll go down to ½ an ounce if I have to. Many people, they'll cast out with a huge quiver tip, and that also makes sure that the rig doesn't behave naturally. You want a very light one so it does. So let's get it out there and put it into practice. There we go. Let's untangle that. Got myself in a bit of a mess talking to you. Right. Just going to put that out into the flow and allow it to bounce around. Simple underarm cast. There we go. And this is important. Look, I'm paying off loads of line, so it sinks down where I've cast it, and also a huge bow is created, and that'll help when the chub gives me the bite, so it's not direct contact against the rod tip. The flow's picking it up now. It's all tightening up. And the bow will be downstream, and then it will come back up to where the bait is. So when a chub picks the bait up, it's just lifting the line. It's taking off the tension of the line rather than pulling on the tip. And it's important that you learn how to fish a bait. Even though you're ledgering, it's still got to fish. It's still got to move. Exactly like when you're float fishing, it needs to be put through the swim correctly. That's all settled down nicely now, and all we can do is wait and hope that what I've done will produce a chub. Well, there was a little knock. Again. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, it's hanging down there. Come on, up you come. Wanting that cheese paste, gobbled that down. Going out into the flow now. Feels like a good fish. Oh yeah. Oh, lovely. God, it might be freezing, but I'm having fun now. In you come. There we go. That big white mouth surrendered. Yeah, brilliant. Let's ship you in and have a look. There we go. Wow, the power of the cheese paste. The power of the paste. Look at that. Well over £4. Let me quickly unhook you. Come on. Go, nice and easy. One quick look here. And that was on that little piece of cake. A little piece of cake and a smidgen of paste just down the shank. Brilliant fishing for a winter's day. But let's slip you straight back. Well, back you go. Get you over those reeds. And as I said, if there's going to be one fish that feeds in these temperatures, it's a chub, and one bait that produces the bite is cheese paste. There you go. Brilliant stuff.